one of the most important things that I did for my dog, and you can do too, is to groom their paws. Now, we've done a lot of tutorials on how to do this, what tools and technology to use, and we talk about how often we should be doing this. So I'll link that in our grooming playlist down below. But you want to make sure that you are desensitizing your dog to some of the tools you're going to be using in order to make it a fear-free, non-stressful engagement while you were working on your dog's feet. So I started from the moment I brought my puppies into the house, and you can do this from the time you adopt a puppy or you adopt an older dog. You just have to make sure you're putting in the time and effort and going slow and doing this in steps. Now, grooming your dog does involve you shaving or cutting their fur on their paws, clipping their nails, and trimming the top of their feet as well. We get rid of the fur around the paw pads so that they're not picking up debris, sticking to ice, getting little sticks that will poke them. And that also, if they have a lot of fur there, that will impact their ability to grip as they're walking, and it could cause them to fall, to slip, to slide, or to be hurt in some way. So trimming down that fur is incredibly important. And we want to make sure that we are doing it in the easiest way possible. You can use scissors. Those frighten me a little bit because it's so easy to hurt your dog. I much prefer a low decibel razor. So these are going to be a low noise source, so it's not going to scare them as much as some razors, and they're going to be very easy to use. Again, I've talked about this in other videos. I will link those down below with my recommendations for that so you can make sure you find the one that's going to be the best fit for you. But I like to use a cordless, rechargeable razor that has that low noise, and one that I have used on my own skin and have not been able to hurt myself with when I am making sure that it's not going to cut my dog. So something that's going to be very safe for us to use. And it's important to make sure we build up our dog's trust, either to scissors or clippers or the razors that we're going to be using to trim both their nails and their fur. So with that in mind, the very first step is to pull the tool out and just let your dog sniff it. Let them engage with it. Let them kind of take a look at it. They want to be able to understand what that thing is that you're holding. You're not turning it on. You're not doing anything with it. You are simply allowing them to explore it, and let them explore it a couple of times. This process can take a couple of days to a couple of weeks to even a couple of months or more, depending on your dog's personality and potentially past trauma if you're adopting an older dog. So you need to give them the space to explore it on their own. Once they're kind of comfortable with that, then you can turn it on. So in terms of the razor, you're going to turn it on in terms of like a scissors or nail trimmers. You're going to squeeze those to make the noises so that they understand. Focusing in on the razor, you're going to turn it on and just let them hear the sounds. If they want to, they will come up and they will put their nose against it. They'll feel the vibrations, but we're not forcing anything. Right now, we're focusing on the sounds, being okay with the sound of it near them. Once they decide that they're going to explore it and they've kind of felt it a little bit, then we can start to build out. So we're actually going to take that razor with it on the lowest setting. We are going to take the broad side of it and just touch their foot with it. We're not using the razor. We're not using either end of it, just the long side so they can feel the vibrations against their paw pads, and just let them engage with it the way that they need to. Most dogs will probably pull their paws back. They'll be a little bit nervous. And so over the course of a couple of days, you're just going to allow them to feel those vibrations. If you need to, you can also run this razor over the rest of their body from the broad side so that they're just kind of feeling it over their body. A concentrated area like their paw pads might be a little too intense for them at first. So if you need to do it on their shoulders and down their side and over their haunches, that might be a better place to start if they don't want their feet touched. Then you can build up to touching their feet with it. Now, once they are fairly confident with this, now we have the ability to use either end to teach them how this is going to work. So you can either start right with the razor, or you can use the opposite end and just show them that more concentrated part of it and move it over their paw pads as if you were getting that fur out. So trace along the lines of the fur and along the paw pads so that they get the sensation of it. If you're nervous about the razor blade being near them and them jerking, do the opposite end first until they're aware of how that works and they're comfortable with it, and do it for a few days. Then you can turn the razor around and just one quick swipe of that fur. We're not going to do the entire foot. We just want them to get them used to the sensation of it. So just kind of glide over part of it. You're taking part of it off. And if you do this for several days in a row, by the end of those couple of days, you'll probably have a trimmed paw pad. And if you're doing it on each of their paws, which at some point you should be, if you need to start with just one, that's fine, but then build out to all four. That gets them used to it. And over the course of a week, you might have their fur groomed down. So that might actually work to your benefit for a while. Then from there, you are going to build up their duration. So the longer they can tolerate it, the more you're going to get shaved down. And then you can, once they have accepted that, once you're able to do that, you are going to be able to start setting a schedule for yourself. I have a video on setting that schedule for you. That is, again, linked down in our grooming playlist down below. So make sure you check that one out. Then from there, you're going to build out. If you are shaving down that fur, the next step is going to be their nails. So you're actually going to have to take your nail trimmer and you're going to have to get them used to it. So you're going to touch that to their feet. You're going to let them explore it. And then without trimming anything, you're just going to clip it in and out so that the springs are making the noise that they're going to be hearing. And they're going to kind of get a little bit of that sensation, but it's going to be a little different when we get around to the nails. Once they're okay with that, then you can actually put the end of it over their nails. Now, nail clippers are all going to be a little bit different. I kind of like the guillotine version of it. That tends to work best for my dogs, but there's lots of other like scissory, clippery type versions of this that you can be using. You are just going to put it around the nail, but not clip it. Just let them feel it around their nail. Once they're okay with that, then you can close it, but don't clip it. So just gentle closure over it so they can feel a little bit of that pressure. They're probably going to panic at this a little bit because that's a scary thing. Having your nail chopped, that is a scary thing. So go very slow with this process. Take time, take a few days and let them figure it out without getting too worked up over it. Then when they're ready for it, you can clip just one of the nails. You do not have to do the entire paw, one nail. You can do one nail. Now, some people, if they have a dog that really struggles with this, they actually recommend that you just do one nail per day. You're not doing an entire paw. You're not doing all 4 paws, just one nail per day. And by the time you get around to doing every single nail on every foot, you get to start over again. And it's just one nail per day forever for the rest of your life. And you can absolutely do that if that's what your dog needs to do. Otherwise, you can start building it up to doing one entire paw at a time. So one paw per day for a little bit until you're ready to go. And then at some point, you're going to be able to do all of them in one sitting. Now, personally, I like to hold my dogs like babies when I am clipping their nails. And so I will hold them like a baby and hold on to their foot. And I'll clip the front nails. And then I will lay them down in my lap and get those back nails if I'm doing it by myself. But you might want to have your dog stand up and you just lift their foot behind them and go ahead and clip that. There's lots of ways to do that. I do recommend checking out groomers who educate on social media on how to clip nails because they're going to be a lot better at teaching you that than I am. I have done it for all of my dogs, but I am by no means a professional groomer. So get your information from somebody who is a professional. Just make sure you're taking the time to desensitize them to this so that you can then manipulate their feet and do what you need to do in order to clip it. Now, the last thing that I would work on with this in terms of priority is the Grinch feet. So on top of their feet, they usually have little bits of fur that you have to trim down. Otherwise, they get kind of Grinch feet. And so that is more of just like a visual thing that's more for vanity's sake than for health reasons. So my priority is the fur and the nails. To get the fur on the top is my lower priority and would be the last thing that I then work on. Those typically you're going to see. You can use your razor for that. I actually use my razor for that, but I've seen a lot of people using just curved scissors, and that works really well for getting that fur up and for trimming that so that they're nice and neat and clean, and they are more functional for your dog. So desensitizing your dog to working on their feet is going to be really important, and you have to do it in steps. You do not want to frighten your dog right off the bat and then have them scared about it for the rest of their life. I want you to be able to groom your dog so that you can take care of them, you can maintain them, and you don't have to spend a ton of money on a groomer all the time. Can you still work with a groomer and also groom at home? Absolutely. Absolutely. But you do not have to feel like you have to go to a groomer all the time. There's absolutely no reason you cannot do it for yourself. I mean, there are probably a few reasons, but for the most part, most people can do it by themselves very easily at home by desensitizing their dogs and working up toward that trust to allow you to easily groom your dog's feet. And I am at the point where I have no stress or trouble grooming my dog's feet. I just grab my pups and I just do whatever I need to do. I don't even have to warn them because they know what's coming. They understand how these things work and they're very, very cooperative about it. And you can train your dog to be at least better about it. They may not be perfect little angels about it, depending on your dog's personality or what they've gone through in the past, but you can definitely help them to be less frightened so that they're not hurting you or a groomer while they are being groomed and taken care of. Follow along for daily videos helping you navigate the world of dog parenthood to help you level up for your pup and give them the best life possible with the most amount of stress-free energy possible. We want to make sure that you are taken care of and your dog is taken care of too, so we've got lots of videos every single day here on the channel, and we'll see you in tomorrow's episode.